Hey people, Moonshadow with Insight with Moonshadow. Welcome to episode 119. Things have been kind of crazy on this end, of course. So, all I can say is surprises, hospitals, etc., but I won't go into those things here. Um, However, so I did upload a video to make up for the week of hospitalization, and I have another video today. So we are caught up, finally, um, back to a lot of grounding, centering, and bringing things back to where I've needed to be. So welcome to Insight with Moonshadow, and we have Hey, what up? Hey, John. And we are. This is episode 119 on May the 10th of 2018. So yeah. Um, Today we're going to be talking about some shamanistic stuff, which no big surprise. This is kind of what I do. It's kind of my jam, being one with the elements. I actually believe I was actually raised by wolves more so than human beings. I kind of get along with animals better, but you know how that is. Some of you knows how that is. But so we're going to go into what's now. I do have a video of a former prior broadcast about sacred spaces that when I first started, going back over 2 years ago. But I figured out to bump it up a notch and discuss some of the tools that are. Yeah, I missed you too, man. And I know you're planning on coming up, so that'd be great to see you. That'd be great to see you come over, come up. It's still not warm enough yet. It's still a little chilly, as you can tell. I'm wearing a shirt, but I'm looking forward to it getting better and warmer. But yeah, cool. Yeah, let me know. Hello. Thank you, Paulina. Welcome. And now uh, we're going to basically be going. Well, not really basically. We're going to do some basic stuff. We're going to go into. Yeah. Well, see, you're a tenderfoot now, man. You're a tenderfoot. You've been in Florida way too long, so now you're not. You can't handle the weather up here anymore, which is okay. Not judging. I'm not criticizing. But once people go down south to Florida, they get a little bit. They get a little wimpy, a little bit. Where what is it like 70 degrees is like you're pulling a sweater and you know. I was earthing the other day. Yes, it thins out your blood. And I was I had just uploaded a video a little bit ago, and I was chi walking. And granted, now I'm gonna say sorry, not sorry for the lack of high production, but that's okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to that down the road. But for to me, content is always more important at this moment. So I did some chi walking and explained some chi walking while I did that, and I was earthing and chi walking down by the water, down by one of my favorite spots. And John, you may actually recognize the place. Well, maybe not. See, there you go. 70. That's jacket material in the 60s. Below, I'm putting on long johns. Oh boy, that's crazy. So yes, so we're going to go into today is talking about some shamanic tools. And of course, this is always something that can progress into bigger, bigger and deeper topics as well. But but we're going to go a little deeper into a sacred power space. Now, a lot of times now, even in, you know what? Let's get this party started. So we so I want to thank you through the labels. I am me. I'm an earthy, crunchy healer guy, wanderlust bitten, explorer. Yeah, but we're here. And so welcome. And so now, also too, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can feel free to throw it in the chat. I have no problem with answering questions. I believe no question is a stupid question. Earthy, crunchy, yes. Not earthy, not crunchy in a not good way, not in like a non-hygienic way, but earthy, crunchy, kind of like granola. It's good for you, except if you're a diabetic, and it's not super sweet like chocolate, but it's kind of not bad. So it's kind of my deal. It's my jam. So yes, so now I did bring some tools with me for this broadcast to give you an idea of what some tools that shamans use to be able to go into the betwixt between, or to go to the different worlds, whether it be upper, lower, or mid. Now technically we are in the middle world right now. So it's being partly in the conscious, where we're conscious, we're aware. Now, if you go into the upper realms, where you're looking at more celestial beings, we're looking at, that's where you go to see crystalline, crystalline people, angels. You're going to see higher vibrational beings up top. And in the lower realms, that's when you go into more of the totem animals and earthly spirit guides and totems and that kind of thing. And then the middle realm. Now, this does not mean that they can't cross over to different realms, because I've gone into the lower world and actually seen my guardian angel. I've actually gone to the higher realms and actually seen my totem animals. They do not have, it's just more than likely the higher vibrational beings will be in the higher vibrational space. But you can have anything, including you can even have ETs and extraterrestrials, humanoid as well, in either one of the worlds. But today, I'm a little ahead of myself. What we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to go into some of the tools that people that are shaman. Oh, cool. She was shaking her head. Ah, there you go. So we're going to go into some of the tools that shamanic practitioners or shamans use, and we go from there. Now, some of the tools that they will use is, these are like the base, some of the basic stuff. These are not going, we're not going into the power tools of major, the major power tools, because there are some that go into deeper, crystals and stones and herbs and all this other stuff, and then they go into completely deeper. Like that's when you go into plant helpers, and that is for another broadcast. But so let's start with the first thing that shamanic practitioners use is something that ever since we were little. So when we're little, we're already practicing shamanic, our shamanic selves. We're being a bit shamanic. And why? Because we use a rattle. So now when we're young, we use a rattle. Why? Because that's going to, oh yes, I'm sure that would be awesome to meet her. So now in focusing on the rattle here, the rattle, it's a rhythmic tool. Now, almost any culture uses a rattle. You look at Latin percussionists, they call it the chicken egg. It's kind of like a modern idea of a rattle. And I have used those if I was traveling, I have used those to use as an impromptu rattle as opposed to a Native American rattle. Now this here is one of my oldest rattles. In fact, I think this is my oldest rattle. But this is actually made with hide, and I think there's corn on the inside or beans. This particular rattle here, with a bear claw, of course, because I have a bear totem. I got this one. This is authentically This is made by a Native American. This is an artifact reproduction, and this is where I went to New Mexico, and I got this one. Now you notice. Now, some people say you choose your tool. I believe that everything has a life, everything has a sacred vibration. So, with crystals, rattles, drums, they have their own soul or spirit. So, they will choose you as well as you choose them. So, now, so this one, of course, I saw that it was a bear claw, but then I held it and it vibrated in my hand. And you can see there's fur on there. It is, and Irene had made this. So now that's one of the major power tools, and you can take it anywhere. You know, you can literally, I can pop this in my pocket. I can put it on a plane. I can go anywhere with it. This you can also go on shamanic journeying. You don't necessarily, and I'll tell you, I have a, I also have a impromptu rattle I made because it was something where I needed to use a rattle. So I made one, fabricated one, and if I told you what it was made out of, it's made out of like a tic tac box and beads and whatnot. It was crazy, but it served its purpose because I had to do some healing work on the fly when I was traveling. So I literally put this thing and fabricated this thing together, and it was like, you know, all of maybe 2-3 minutes, a little bit of tape, tic tac box. So if you have any questions on that, you can also let me know. You can shoot me a message or a DM or anything, comment, and I would be glad to help you with that. But you can also buy them. A lot of New Age shops will have rattles and shamanic tools that you can utilize. Depending on price, it could be more and lesser expensive, and you will see what I mean. Now this here, I had to repair this, but this is like a miniature drum. Now this, I believe I got this in New Mexico as well. But this is, now this one is a little butt, but I fixed it up a little bit. Am I taking on students? Well, funny you say that. I was actually thinking about starting up to work on doing some classes and workshops. And since I've never actually taken on a Reiki student, I'm actually thinking about doing a Reiki course so I can attune people. So I'm still in the process of doing that. That's been in the works or in my head for quite a few years, but it is possible that I'm going to get on that as well to actually attune people to be Reiki masters, to do Reiki 1, 2, and 3. Oh, awesome. That's very cool. Ah, so she's from South Dakota. Very cool. So yeah, so I'll definitely let you know the progress on that as well as far as taking on students. Now, now first of all, I'm going to start this off with one with at this point. Now, okay, vortex healing. Heard of it? I don't believe I've ever done vortex healing, at least not in the way that it may be. But I'll have to look into that a little bit more. That could be under a different name than what I'm used to. But I'll definitely take a look at that. Now, another form of drum. Now we're going to go into the drums now. So now this here is a talking drum. Now this is an African talking drum. Now also too, shamanism is not strictly a Native American term. It's actually Siberian. No different than Wiccan. Wiccan means knowledged, or well-knowledged, or wise. I myself, I prefer to be pagan, pantheistic, and not Wiccan. But that's just, again, it's another label. I've gone by many different labels, and labels really doesn't matter. It's really if you walk the sacred path or not. So now this here is a talking drum. Now, a talking drum has a beater. Now, interesting enough, it's kind of crooked, kind of weird, but this also changes with these leather straps. This also changes the tone of the drum. So, which obviously stretches the head of the drum, which is, I believe this one's goat hide. And as you squeeze the rawhide straps on the side, it will raise, and hence why it's called a talking drum. Now, I have used this for journeying, and this is an antique. This is quite old, and this has been in quite a few ceremonies and circles, and it's been very good to me. I'm not sure if I'll be using this for today's journey or not. So you have that, and then there is, okay, obviously my larger beater, and this here is, now this is man-made. I am in need of getting a rawhide drum, but the sound of this drum is really, really nice, and this doesn't change with humidity. So since this is man-made, and obviously it looks like kind of like a moon, if you think about it. So it's kind of neat. I've been debating on painting on this, but then it just looks really good, organically natural like this, so I'm not sure. Hey, welcome, Bradley. So now, this is a Remo Buffalo drum. This, I believe, is the 16-inch Remo Buffalo drum. Now, if you hear the difference, now it's got such a deep resonance to this drum. This one I use most of the time as opposed to the speaking drum. Reason being is because just even if I do this, and then you're not going to see me for a second, but if I do this, you can hear how deep and resonating the sound of this drum is. It's a little harder to travel with because it's such a big drum, but a lot of times when I've gone to ceremony and done circles, this is usually my go-to drum. It doesn't get affected with humidity like this talking drum, because this talking drum here, what happens is this goat hide, it will be affected. It will get tighter. It'll get tighter and looser with humidity, and it kind of goes flat a little bit too. So this is why I don't use the talking drum as much as the buffalo drum. Now you could get the buffalo drum in any music store, pretty much, just like djembes and most drums you can get there. In fact, I believe I got this at I want to say I got this at Guitar Center, but this was going back like 30 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. So now, these are just some of the tools that a shamanic practitioner or shaman will use to go into ceremony, to open circle. Some people that are within pagan or Wiccan or New Age realms, they'll use a drum to call in the four quarters. They may use rattles to do that. They may use song to do that, depending on the flavor, if you will, or the family. If you're dealing with Celtic shamanism, they'll be dealing with a different type of drum, one of those small hand drums that you may find that you may go into. Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you, if you ever have the opportunity to go to a powwow and see dancers and singers, do so. Whenever I go, it is just incredibly powerful. It's like deep within my heart powerful. It's an amazing energy to hear the singers and dancers at a powwow. So if you haven't been, do so. And they usually also serve buffalo burgers, which is most excellent. Oh, awesome! So your stepfather and siblings are native. That is awesome. And also too, a lot of times I interchange native. I don't usually use just Native American because native is native is native. So I usually use native or tribal. Reason being is there are a lot of people that are doing shamanic work that aren't necessarily Native American. They're they're doing that type of work. So you don't necessarily have to be Native American to do the work, but there's an honor involved. You have to walk on this in the sacred way to be able to do that, which means you have to be mindful. So that's really important. Absolutely, and also too. Oh, and there you have the Nagal. You have the Nagal of Africa. No, they're Toltec. The Nagalic Toltec. You've got the Mayans, you get the Aztecs, they're everywhere. And if you notice, if you have studied shamanism at all, there's a vein that goes through shamanism that a lot of their ceremonies are very, very similar. They all, it's a similar thing. So whether you're an Aboriginal or whether you're a Plains Indian right here in the United States, or you're native over in Canada, their ceremonies are very, very similar. It's almost like you can superimpose these ceremonies and rituals. And believe it or not, also a lot of pagan rituals also have shamanic accents or shamanic tones to it. Now, with paganism, it's a little bit different. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Shorty? Um, with when you're looking at the difference between paganism and shamanism, it's not majorly different. Okay, the difference is though some pagans are involved a little more with the drama of the ritual. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's when you have cloaks and they do ceremony and skyclad and all that. I've actually been a high priest in an eclectic coven as well, which was quite an experience, and I enjoyed that, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about the pantheist, about the nature-oriented spirituality in connecting. So if you hear anyone say, being Wiccan is negative, it's this and devil worship and all that, it's not true. That's all miscommunication and just nonsense. In fact, a lot of nature-based spiritualities. I'm not even going to say religion because religion's man-made, but a lot of nature-based spirituality is based on God, the Creator, Wankantanka, where we came from, and of course, there is no real hierarchy. We are not more superior than like the bird that you're hearing in the background. Like today, I saw a lot of crows. I saw a lot of crows today. What else did I see today? I saw a wild turkey the other day. It was kind of cool. Yes, and the shaman is the OG of religion itself too. Yes, and I want to say I did see Bradley. Okay, if God left a fingerprint, it'd be in nature. And you're right, and it wouldn't be the tongues of man, because what happens? It's like a bad version of telephone. Like I can go ahead and tell you something right now, and 3 days from now, it's going to change. Right? So that's part of it. So, and then of course, I'm not going to tell any of you how to believe or what to believe because it's not my place to say. That is ego, and that is something else that I will not get into. I can only share my view and my perception of spirituality itself from how I view it. So now, everyone looks at spirituality differently. I can go into a Christian church or a Catholic church or a Buddhist monastery or a Southern Baptist church. It doesn't matter where I am. I am going to connect with the Creator. But that again is just me. Some people need the structure, and I cannot take that away from anyone. So you believe, you be you, and you believe what you want to believe. And ultimately, we won't have a discussion unless you don't believe anything. And even then, it's really entirely up to you and on what your experience is in this earthly walk. So now, we've gone through the tools, some of the tools of what a shamanic practitioner or even someone that is pagan might use, because they also use drums and music and chant as well. In fact, in the old coven that I was in, we used a lot of music and we sang quite a bit as well. And it was quite an interesting experience is that we all invoked Uther, which is King Arthur, the real King Arthur, not the myth. It was the actual Uther, and it was pretty wild because when you invoke a spirit like that, you are really fully taken over by the spirit. It's like channeling. And so when that happened, it was such a profound experience. That happened going back, quite a long time ago, over 20 years probably, or about 20 years, over 20 years. But I still remember it to this day, where I was bringing people and it wasn't me. I was just the embodiment of Uther. But I was bringing people in and having them pledge an oath to the land. I'm not even kidding. This was amazing. And I am so glad that I did it. And I was pretty much naked for the most part, except for a loincloth. Not even kidding. But that's a weird thing to be involved in that kind of. Yeah, I'm not even kidding, Bradley. I'm telling you. It was like, I forget, I think it was like 30 of us. There was quite a few people there, and it was quite an interesting experience. And I really enjoyed it. And it profoundly changed how I viewed beyond the veil and in the betwixt and between. So it was quite a cool thing. Oh yeah, it's when you really get involved in that kind of activity, when you start really, whether you work shamanically or if you work in a sense of the more spiritual nature based way, you will realize that lines are blurred. There were times that I've walked down a street and saw someone standing there and they were not there. So I was seeing through into another dimension or through into another space. And that could warp your mind, man. I'm telling you. And just to let you guys know, I have never taken major hallucinogenic drugs, and I don't intend to. Why? Because I already see crazy stuff. I need to see crazy stuff without any control. Even though I wouldn't mind doing peyote, anuska. That would be kind of cool. But that's what I'd want to do under the guidance of another shaman or shamanic practitioner, because that stuff's not. Talk about acid trip time 1,000. So you got to be careful with that. So before we get ahead of ourselves, which I already kind of did, sorry, not sorry. Now, have any of you, and feel free to answer and just throw it up in the chat, have any of you ever set up a meditative space or a safe space? I know in talk therapy, I have worked with clients where for them to want to talk about and get into traumatic events, we've had to set up a safe space for them to go into, whether that was using hypnotherapy or using talk therapy or energetics or anything. So a safe space was needed to be able to send them there quickly if the traumatic event gets too heavy, if it gets too crazy. Awesome. Oh, that's cool. Oh, one thing I forgot, which I'll have to remember to bring, is my spirit stick. There's a good story with that. I'll have to show you guys my spirit stick sometime. I'm not gonna go get it now, but we may go into a more into a deeper broadcast with other tools that you could make and you can connect with. And also too, that spirit stick chose me. It was not meant to be a spirit stick. It was actually a cutoff from a staff, and I don't even know what the staff is. So the spirit stick was meant the staff, not so much. So now with a safe space, a lot of times when you are dealing with a traumatic event, and this happens with a lot of people, if you have been treated poorly, whether it be psychologically or physically, mentally, anything like that, when you're doing that kind of work, shadow work, which shadow work can be very, very intense. Now, I will tell you, when you go deep into shadow work, there is, okay, I'm not going to say there's a major danger in that because you do have a spirit council to help. However, when you go deep enough into shadow work, you really learn. You really learn what you're all about. And I've had to do some serious shadow work recently. But setting up a space, a safe space for you is very, very important. So it's kind of like moving into a new place, moving into a new apartment or a new house. You have to make it your own. So for you to do what tools you need. So just imagine a virtual space, a space that's not here. It's not necessarily in a dream state or dream space, but it's in an altered state. So if you went into mine, you would probably, well, first of all, it's cave-like in some way. There's tapestries involved. There's big, huge carpet, like big, huge cushy sit. There's water where I can go in and out into different realms, and then there's this large open view where a cave, where that cave literally can turn into a portal, and I can go in and out of different spaces with the inner work that I do that way as well. But this space that I space, and I've had this space for as long as I can remember, and it keeps on evolving as I go. So now, what we're going to do is we're going a little bit into how to make that sacred space. So would you guys be interested in doing that? A little experiment. Feel free to throw up a one, say yes. If you're interested, you're going to have to be comfortable. All I have to do is hear my voice, so you don't necessarily look. You don't have to necessarily see, but listening is important. So you're interested. All right, so Pauline is in. Bradley, I have a feeling will probably be in as well. So anybody, you could join in. And whether or not you choose to join in chat or not, it's perfectly okay. Yep, John's in. Bradley, I'm sure Bradley's in, and I'm not trying to speak for you, Bradley, but you're kind of in my same. Oh yeah, he's it. Yeah, indeed. There you go. So now let's work on. He's like, yeah. He's like, dude, yeah, absolutely. So now we will work on seeing if we can get into a sacred space. Now, if you guys are interested, we can go into further of how to build the sacred space, how to work it. But first of all, we're just going to see if we can get in. So I'm going to do a little bit of a guided visualization first. And if we have time, if you guys are interested, of course, we can go into a shamanic journey to actually connect with one of your spirit guides, totems, fairies, dragons, angels, guides, life protectors, because some of us have all of them. Some of us only have angels at the moment. So it really depends. Yes. Well, but I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge in there, John. I'm sure you have still a lot of that in there. So, okay, so guys are ready. Let's go in. Let's work on it. So we're just going to see if we can go into a power space. So now, first of all, what I'd like for you to do is to first of all go to breathe. That's number one. But there is usually, like, I enjoy being by the water and being in the woods. I used to get in trouble as a kid for being out in the woods too long. As a matter of fact, one of the last broadcasts, not this last one, but the one before that, I was in a historic graveyard and I was there well into pitch darkness, and it was quite interesting because the activity I saw in there was pretty crazy. I loved it. But to the point where no one saw me. I forget which episode that was. I think that was 2 episodes ago. But it was pitch where no one could even see me anymore, which was pretty cool. So now, what I would like for you to do is you first need to start off with like a blueprint or a thumbnail sketch of what makes you safe. Okay. So if you are very interested in woods or the forest, then you could start off with feeling that energy of the forest. If you are connected with mountains, you could connect yourself with that energy of mountains, of the mountains themselves. If you are, someone that really connects with the ocean, then you can connect with ocean, that ocean energy. Yes, one of my favorite places, for sure. So start off with that. Okay, so you have your space that you feel comfortable in. Just like you notice that if your home, you feel comfortable. You feel safe there. You feel good. You feel like protected. So we're going to start off with a space like that. Now, I would like for you, now this is just a little bit of a sample guided visualization, a little bit. Because I'm thinking that we'll probably go into a shamanic journey before we're done with this broadcast today, before I go off live. So what I'd like for you to do is like for you to close your eyes, and I want you to sit comfortably. You could lay down, but I would not suggest laying down. Why? Because if you lay down, you will fall asleep. This is why a lot of times I don't meditate when I'm laying down, because I go into an altered state, and when I go into altered state, I go into delta and theta state, which means I'm gone. I'm sleeping. And then I'm traveling. Then I leave my body, and then I'm off traveling somewhere, visiting people I miss, or traveling to places I've been, that kind of thing. So my suggestion for you in the beginning stages of meditation, if you don't want to fall asleep, or guided visualization, if you don't want to fall asleep, sit up. Because that way you'll be less likely to knock out completely. Now, as a side note, this is not a bad thing if you knock out completely. That just means you'll fall asleep. You'll wake up rested. You'll feel great. You just won't, your subconscious will then take over with the visualization. So either way, you'll still uh, hear my guided voice and the visualization. You will just be knocked out, and then you'll wake up going, "Whoa, wait a minute, where am I?" So now, what I would like for you to do is sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor. I would like for you to put your hands on your knees and to just breathe. Now, this is interesting. I use a different type of breathing. A lot of people are used to breathing in through their nose and out through their mouth. I tend to use a different type of breathing. I use nasal breathing, which is breathing in through my nose and breathing out through my nose. Why, you ask? Good question. And no one asked. But I'm going to give you the answer anyway. The reason why you can exhale through your nose is then you can control your breathing more so. So instead of breathing like, through your nose, and then you notice that it's more steady. Now, you don't have to breathe like that all the time when you're meditating or when you're doing this type of work. I just choose to do that more often just because it brings me being more mindful of how I'm breathing. So now, all I want you to do is just focus on breathing. Take 3 nice deep breaths. So breathing in, and then hold it, and then exhale through your nose again. Now, just with that breath alone, my body is stabilizing. It's already situated. It's already grounding itself by the first breath, because my body's so used to that from doing it for a long time. It's like second nature. Now, so hold it, and then exhale. Breathing in, and then hold it, and then exhaling. Now you notice you'll be able to empty out your lungs that much more using, and also too, that tends to bring you more closer to diaphragmatic breathing, which is really deep breathing. So now, as you do that, as you're breathing in and breathing out, and I want you to listen and hear my voice. Now, what I want you to do is visualize yourself in a space that you feel safe. Now, we'll get into how to build a space and how to really, you know, work on and really build up your powers, your sacred space. But for right now, we're just kind of looking at rental spaces, if you will, beginning space. So breathing in, hold it, and then breathing out. And I know you guys are doing really well with breathing because no one's saying anything and you don't have to. So keep breathing. That's excellent. So now as you're doing that, I want you to focus and imagine a space that you feel safe. It could be by the water, it could be in the woods, it could be in the mountains. It doesn't matter where it is. It's all up to you where you feel the safest. Now, what I would like for you to do is as you're breathing in and breathing out, I would like for you to feel the environment. So just imagine where you are. Feel the air around you. Very much like here I am in the elements. I'm here outside. You can hear the birds in the background. I can feel a breeze coming in. I can feel a temperature dropping. So focus on these things, and you're making them that much more physical. You're manifesting these natural feelings. So you want to hear, you want to use all your senses. See, there's a turkey. There's a wild turkey. I just heard one. It's probably up the street. So see, look around. With your mind's eye, look around the space. Look and see where. Oh, it's nice for me to get a phone call now. That's fantastic. So, um, so feel the space. See the space around you. Use your ears, your hearing. You may even feel dew or mist. I know, right? This is the downside to live streaming with your telephone, by the way, guys. So use all your senses and bring them all in. You may hear ants where you are. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. I apologize. I did turn down the sound too, but I probably should have muted it maybe. So I apologize. So now, feel, and also connect with your inner self. Connect and feel how safe you are in this space. Feel the ground at your feet. If you're near the water, feel water. Going ahead and touching your toes. If you're at the beach, feel the beach, the sand underneath your feet. Feel your toes in the sand. Now take all of this in. Embrace this feeling. You may even find that my voice feels a little more distant. It's not up close in your ear. It could be a little more distant in the background. But take in all those senses. You may be able to hear the wind if you're near trees, near the forest. You may hear crickets or nighttime sounds if you're in nighttime. And this is also too, it doesn't matter if it's evening or daytime. Like I have a thing for sunrises and sunsets. So you could feel that connection with all the elements around you. Take in all the ambient noise, all the sounds, and bring them in. Now I'd like for you to sit in space. Literally, grab a seat. If you're near the water, sit on a rock. Feel that rock underneath. Feel where you're sitting. If you're in the woods, sit on a stump. If you're in the mountains, lean up against a tree or sit up against a tree. But feel all of it. Embrace all of it. Feel everything around you, using all of your senses and using your third eye to connect with that. Now mind you, if you don't necessarily see things but feel them, there's nothing wrong with that. Some people naturally don't see. Some people feel more. Some people hear more. So it depends on what your clairs are. Some people are more visual and they don't necessarily hear things. Some people are more sensitive to touch or energy, and it's all perfectly acceptable. And as you continue doing this work, you're going to find it'll become stronger and stronger. So like, for example, I'm hearing peepers, right? I'm hearing crickets. Now, Gris, this is in real time. I'm not in my power space right now, but I can see my power space if I close my eyes easily. And the more work you do, or the longer you work with your sacred space or your power place, the quicker that you'll be able to connect to that space. And it will change as you go. Now I would like for you to sit. Let's give it another minute. Sit in this space. And I won't talk for a little bit, for about a minute. But feel that space. And then we'll bring you back. Surround yourself with it. Hearing sounds like this definitely and lower your blood pressure, bring you down to a grounded space where it could bring you down from a panic attack or an anxiety attack. It could do some pretty powerful, profound healing. So what I'd like for you to do is now breathe in and then hold it and breathe out. And when you're ready, I'm going to count down from 5 to 1 and have you slowly come back. So 5, slowly coming back from these surroundings in this space. 4. At this point, my voice will start becoming more towards the forefront, and this space, the safe space, will now more go towards the background now. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So you can open your eyes and be back here with me completely. So what do you guys think? Interesting stuff, isn't it? Now let me know. Definitely let me know in the chat whether you either felt it, whether you heard things, whether you saw things, where it was all the above, and feel free to share if you'd like. Again, no criticism here. If you want it to be a personal experience, you can go ahead and do that. I have no problem with that. If you're willing to share a little bit. You could even get into just if you heard, saw, what senses were utilized without going into detail. You can always do that as well. So, up to you. And feel free to put up in the chat. Let me know that you're all here. You may be asleep, because I know literally at this moment. Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate that. I do what I can. No one's perfect, but the earthly walk is a weird one. And I can honestly say that I've been John sleeping. I've been in between. I've had one foot in the betwixt and between a little too much lately. Yeah, it was buffering. It could be. It happens sometimes with YouTube, but I'm working on fixing that as well. Oh, you missed it. Oh man. Well, hopefully it'll be enough where you check out the replay. You'll be able to see it. It could. It could. Meditation should be taught in schools. I really think so. I also think spirituality should be taught in schools as well. I completely agree with you, Bradley. It's really important, and I don't think they do that enough. I believe God should be in schools as well. And it could be your phone. Nothing happened. It didn't buffer on my end. So once it's fully processed and uploaded, you may be able to see the whole replay without it buffering. But I'm in the process of trying to fix a lot of the tech glitches as well, because I like being in different locations. So okay, so now, did you guys get to experience some of that? Were you able to go into into a place? Were you able to feel it or utilize more than one sense to feel your surroundings? You can let me know. I throw it in the chat. And also too, if you guys are interested, I'm not sure if you are. I have a feeling that you might be. We can go into a shamanic journey as well. Do a little bit of a shamanic journey and see if you can meet one of your life protectors, totems, angels, dragons, pixies, aliens, dwarfs, imps, any of those. Because you have the potential of having more than one life protector or totem. It could also, yes, the list goes on. It's true. As an example, I have one of my guides is an Asian doctor. He usually deals with a lot of my medical stuff. So whenever I need to give a insight medically, that he will usually come up. There is also one of my guides makes sure I'm awake, so I don't miss out on work or I'm late for something. She will be the one to wake me up, and I will literally feel a little bit of a little shake or a little poke, and it's interesting. I'll be like, okay, I got it. All right, I'm going. Yeah, well, see, this is the thing with mushrooms, Bradley, and this is why I have never tried mushrooms or LSD or acid or anything like that, is you have no control of the trip, man. And I would rather not go into an uncontrolled trip. I already see too much. So yeah, that's the only thing. But again, like I mentioned previous, I wouldn't mind doing peyote or anuska over, watching over me to make sure that I don't go running off into the woods naked, that kind of thing, because it would be very, very possible that, I do that normally. Never mind if I was off running into the woods naked under some kind of influence of some hallucinogenic uh, herb. Yeah. So that would be a little different. So would you guys be interested in trying out a shaman? Yes. I so want to be there. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize, I don't even know what time it is. What time is it? Sunset was, and I had a feeling it was going to get dark. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a little bit of a shamanic journey and see. And now this is just a little one, a mini one, but if you are interested, definitely, shoot me a message. You can shoot me a message either any social media. If you look up in the description, you'll see my website, which I have to kind of revamp a bit, and I have to do some revamping on a lot of things actually. But you can send a message, you can throw a comment in, and let me know, because I am possibly I'm going to go into more of an intermediate, longer shamanic journey where it's the broadcast may be just going into an altered state and then going into a shamanic journey as well for the most of the broadcast. So something to think about. All right, so now here we go. Now this, of course, is my large buffalo drum, and what we're going to do is now to give you a little background on the shamanic journey. What how shamanic journey works is instead of a voice or a rattle, I'm using the drum to guide you through. So what happens is the drum, it'll start off with a nice steady beat. Now, when that happens, when you're hearing that steady beat, you're going about your own pace into the journey. So it's partly going to be a guided visualization to start, then it'll only be the drum. And then when it's time for you to come back, then it's usually a little bit faster. So then you'll hear the beat speed up a little bit. And that's just like the drum is basically like a timer and a guide, just to let you know, okay, well now it's time to continue doing what you need to do. And then as it speeds up, and then once it speeds up enough, when it's time for you to come back, then you'll hear 4 beats on the drum, and I'll do that twice. So then you'll hear, and then at that point you'll hear my voice come in, and I will vocally bring you back in case that you're not back. So there you go. So you guys ready? He's like, they're already sitting down. I can feel it. I can feel the energy already. So now what I'd like for you to do is the same as when we went into the guided visualization. Sit comfortably. And I'm going to start off by going into a guided visualization just to get you started. And since we introduced you to a safe space, we're going to start off with you being in your safe space. The difference is you need to find a portal. You need to make a portal. So if you're by the beach, you can see some stones together and see a small hole in some stones. Don't worry, you'll be able to fit it. If you're in the woods, you can see a large tree and you can see, like, a knot in the tree or a space in the tree or a hole in the tree. I was, this past year, I was in a redwood forest where I was actually able to stand fully in a redwood tree. And that was just an incredible energy. So that was incredibly grounding. That was amazing. So now that would be the case. And if you're in the mountain, you can see like a hole in the mountain. You can see a little bit of like a little cave or anything like that. So those are the places that you want to see. So that's going to be the portal or the entrance into the, well, we'll go into probably into the lower realm to see what you will, to see who you'll find. Now, granted, don't be disappointed. You may find someone, you may find a being, you may find a totem animal, you may find a spirit guide, a life protector, and then you may not. You just may end up there. You may end up in a space. It may be dark, it may be light, it may be, dusk. Either way, there is no wrong way, or there's nothing wrong with the experience. Okay? So here we go. So to start off, I would like for you to again breathe in through your nose and hold it and then breathe out. Now that's usually a nice prerequisite for getting your mind ready and prepared to do any inner work. And you're breathing in, holding it, and then breathing out. And you want to visualize that space you had started with earlier today. Now when you see that space, I want you to breathe in 2 or 3 times and then exhale through your nose again. At that point, I would like for you to visualize an open doorway. You could even actually visualize an actual doorway. You are only limited by your own imagination. So find yourself a portal, a doorway, a hole in the tree, a space between rocks, whatever it may be. And keep breathing in and breathing out. And when I start drumming, I would like for you to walk in. Now that space will open up to you. So you can have it large enough where it's life-size where you can walk right in. It will open. When I go into my power space or my sacred space, what happens is a doorway opens up. So if it's a small knot in a tree, it opens up into a doorway. Now we're also not limited by our bodies. So this is all energy. You may go in looking like yourself. You may change. Your appearance may change too. So don't let it be scary or fearful. Okay, here we go. So get ready to walk through that entranceway. And I'll start with the drum. Now you may walk through a hallway or through a tunnel before you get to that space. focus on breathing and let the drum guide you. You may find beings near you. You can ask them if they're your totem. You are completely safe in this space. You can ask if they're your totem. You can ask if they're your guide. Taking all the elements around you. Remember everything that you're feeling and experiencing. And we'll start to you have started a conversation. Or start to head back. Easily and effortlessly. Say goodbye to your guide. Head back to the tunnel. It could be a cave. It could be underground. There could be crystals. And reach your portal. And come back. Take a nice deep breath. Open your eyes when you're ready. And exhale through your nose. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And let me know you're back. Or people may have fallen asleep, which is possible. Now, in the journey, of course, oh, did you like that? Cool, 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 cool. Now, in your experience, hey Joe, when you go into a shamanic journey, now of course I used a lot of, there was some voice in there. I guided a little bit with my voice as well, but normally I don't do that. Usually it's I just start and then go into and it's just the drum. Quite often when I go into a shamanic journey, I actually have it on my MP3 there. Drumming. You can get drumming CDs as well. And I believe you can probably even see, you can check out drumming. You can check out shamanic drumming right here on YouTube as well. But the cool thing about that is the drum is just a guiding rhythm. And it's basically guiding you to being a timer and letting you know when it's time to come back. You can go anywhere. You can go 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. There are times that I've gone into shamanic journeying and I didn't even realize time stood still, and all of a sudden it was 2.5 hours later, and I didn't even realize time flew like it did. So it's pretty powerful. It's pretty powerful and intense stuff. It's something where to yes, exactly. Exactly. A mantra to meditation is similar to that. And I actually have, you know, a small version of my mala and a larger version of my mala beads too. So it's all part of being mindful and being aware of the inner world and the outer, the betwixt and between. So it's pretty intense stuff. So to bring this full circle, if you will, shamanic journeying and working with a power. It was light out when you started, and now you're in the dark. Yeah, I know, right? It happens. This isn't the first time, and it probably won't be the last. Today was my usual day or time, but I'm looking at going back to that too. Usually I'm on Monday, but today's Thursday, so I wanted to catch up on a couple of videos for the videos I did not do in the last couple of weeks. So that's why the impromptu live today. But to sum it up, to be in an altered state is not actually a bad thing. It's actually very, very helpful. Even in hypnotherapy, and to be in an altered state for 8 minutes, it's like an hour's worth of REM sleep. So me not sleeping as well as I don't, which I don't sleep very well, it's something where a lot of times I can power nap for about 16 minutes, And if I power nap for 16 minutes, that's like 2 hours. That's like a 2 hour nap. And I feel a lot better at the end of it. And that's something we can go into. Also, too, if there's any suggestions or ideas that you have or anything you want to know, feel free to shoot me a message. You know, you can do that. My website is in my description, and as well as my Facebook group, Spirit of Ubuntu, which is all about basically connecting all of us to doing inner work, and so that's also good. And a lot of times, see in my post, you'll see be strong, be amazing, be you. But that was also just bring out words of encouragement to say, that we all matter, and doesn't matter what you are, doesn't matter what your affiliation is, doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter your age, none of that, because we're all connected, we're all one. So to sum it up, journeying and living sacredly or shamanically is very natural, and it's very ending, and it makes things totally different. It makes you more balanced. And yeah, absolutely, we are all beautiful, and we are all energy, and that's a big part of it as well. So it's really up to you how you walk your earthly walk. It's really up to you if you choose to walk in an unbalanced way. Exactly. The universe would collapse upon itself. And there is so much, and to be honest with you all, there is so much there we don't see, hear, feel, and touch that's beyond our four senses in this earthly realm that we don't realize. There is just so much to explore. So I want to thank all of you for being here with me today in this impromptu day of Insight with Moonshadow, episode 119 on the 10th. And I really appreciate you guys being here. I will work on, hopefully everything will be hopefully back to normal again. A hospital stay it basically sidelined me for a bit, but I'm trying to get back. Thank you very much, John, and thank you all for that. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to going back live again on Monday. So yeah, looking at another 4 days. But any suggestions, any ideas, any comments, any input, feel free to DM me, send me a message. You can also go on any of my social media. It's all down there in the description. Also, too, if you'd like to know more of my my notifications, you can subscribe. And we're trying to get 1,000 subbies as well. So if you know people that would be interested in my content, definitely have them hit me up. And if you want to know when I'm going live or when I upload a video, all I can do is hit the bell, and it's down over there on that side. You can do that and also be notified when I go live. And you can connect on, my, Insta, Facebook, all that social media, blah, blah, blah stuff. You can see all that as well. So I want to thank you all for being here. All of you really, really matter to me, and I really appreciate your support and your energy and your good juju and your prayers, and all of you that have reached out to me in messaging and everything, and knowing that I was sidelined for a while without even knowing I was sidelined. Some people reached out, and I appreciate that. So, as I say every week, be strong, be amazing, be you. So we'll catch you next week on Monday, hopefully, but I will definitely be letting you guys know. And thanks for being here. So we'll talk to you on the flip. If this works. Let's see. There we go. Take care, guys. Peace.